All right, what's up, everyone? Alex Boylan here, co-founder of Dream Jobbing. Super excited to be here with Raj Ghatak. Did I pronounce that correct?
Gatak, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Unbelievable Indian-born English actor. His credits both on stage and in film are incredible, and just recently won Best Actor for playing Amir in The Kite Runner. Congratulations to that.
Thank you very
Uh,
much.
yeah, so thank you for doing five questions with. We appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me. I'm honored.
Yeah, it's awesome. So as we were talking about, this is mainly meant for younger people trying to learn how to get into different careers, and I think learning from you and understanding because your breadth of and I know in England like being on stage and being in film and what you've been able to put together for a career is just spectacular. So thank you.
Thanks.
So first question, Raj, like when did you know you wanted to be an actor? What was it that was like, you know what, this is really cool and I can make a living, an awesome living doing something I love?
It is the only thing I've ever wanted to be. I've I've wanted to be an actor for as long as I can remember. And I come from quite an artistic family. So well, I say that my father was a doctor, my mum's a scientist. Go figure. But music and arts and drama has always been around in my family. So we were always taken to the theatre, go see shows, films, musicals, and it's just something that I had always wanted to do. And then when I was about, well, when I was a kid, there was a local stage school that my mother took myself and my sister to. And the story goes, essentially, this would be on a Saturday afternoon for 3 hours. And we would do acting, singing, dancing. And the story goes, she only took us there so she could get a rest in the afternoon. So she, she was just like, I'm done, get out the house. But attached with this school was an agency. So they had agents that would then put us up for work professionally. Um, and so in and amongst that, you then started to learn just how to be an actor, how to sing, how to dance. And that really started my interest. And then I was working professionally as a child. I did some TV stuff and stuff on stage. But so it's all I've ever wanted to do. And I count myself really lucky that I do a job that I love. Um, However, it hasn't always been so smooth because when I was a child, well, when I was growing up, I didn't actually see many people that looked like me on TV or in film. So actually, whether I knew I could earn a living doing it, I didn't know that I could.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in a time when people like me or the diversity conversation that's happening, it didn't happen so much on television, certainly in the UK. And I mean, I remember growing up like watching the Cosby Show and stuff like that. And you were liking it because there were people of color on the TV. There were people that almost looked like you. Um, and that became visual representation became a very important thing. So I actually left acting and I spent 3 years training to be an osteopath. I thought I'm going to go and get a proper
Wow.
job.
When was this? Was this high school or was this
Yes,
college?
I would have been about 18. So
18.
I did in the UK you do your A levels from 16 to 18 and then you go to university and you choose. So when you have your 2 years to learn to pick your subjects and that will decide where either people go to medical school or drama school, university, study English history, whatever your subject might be. And I thought there is no one that looks like me on the television or in film. I'm not going to be able to earn a living. Um, so I'll go and get a proper job. That's what I'll do. And I went to train to be an osteopath, and my heart wasn't in it. It was just being an actor is something that drives you. It's like a vocation. And if that's what you want to do, nothing else will suffice. Nothing.
Mhm. How
So
did you
I
overcome at what point when you decide to, I'm going to take go down the path of a traditional job, at what point or what was it that said, you know what, I'm going to go back to what I love and get back into acting?
I was so unhappy. I was really unhappy. And I don't just mean sad. I mean, every day going into somewhere. And osteopathy is a fascinating subject. It's a bit like a physiotherapist.
Mhm.
So it's all about the human body, anatomy, posture. It's incredible. But as with anything, if you're not committed to it or if your mind's not in it, it's very difficult to do. So I spoke to my parents and I just said, listen, I've tried. I've given this 3 years. Um, and I honestly cannot see myself doing this every day for the rest of my life. I just can't do it.
Mhm.
And they actually gave me some really good advice, which sometimes I wish I'd taken. And they had said, finish training to be an osteopath and then go to train to be an actor,
Right.
because then you have something solid to fall back on.
Right.
And it was such good advice. But as an actor, you're a heart person, you're not a head person.
Yeah.
So, you're led by your heart. And so I then didn't finish that. And it would have been a good thing to have done. So if anyone's watching and mid course and they're contemplating, I mean, ultimately it's down to that person.
Mhm.
Um, it depends on how much longer you have to go.
Right. So, what would you say from, let's go before we get into some of the challenges. What do you like better? Because, in English, you've spent a lot of time in musicals and on stage and live
Yeah.
performances. Compare the two, and which one do you prefer?
I think that's a good question. But I think actually it depends on the project. So for me, it depends more on an individual basis. So say, for example, the Kite Runner that I just did. So I was playing the role of Amir, who's the narrator, who's the lead in the book. For those that have seen the book, read the book, I
Mhm.
was told to read the book, not watch the film, because they changed the ending in the film, I think. But bizarrely, as a side note, I was in a Disney film earlier this year, and last year, and I was working with Mark Forster, who's the director of that film, of the Kite Runner film. And then after finishing working with him, I was then offered the Kite Runner on stage. So I emailed him. I was like, "This is a little bit strange, but just so you know, I'm now playing Amir in the Kite Runner." Um,
That's so awesome.
it's one of those twists of fate which happen.
Right.
So for something like that, the way the story is laid out is that I narrate the story from start to finish. So I'm on stage for 2.5 hours and I don't leave. And I start narrating with an adult American accent, and then I create the world around me. So it's all storytelling. So then other people come on stage, and then I'll become a 6-year-old boy speaking Farsi, and then go back to being an adult again, and then go back to being a 10-year-old. So that's a huge challenge. And to never leave the stage. No, I mean, I only ever had one costume change, and that was done on stage. I had a waistcoat put on me and taken off me.
Wow. Wow.
So, so that's incredible. Musicals, um, I find quite scary because I'm trained in the world of straight text. I'm not trained as a musical theatre performer. So there are three disciplines that need to be conquered: the acting, the singing, and the dancing. Now, I would say I'm an actor singer who moves as opposed to dances. I mean, I did West Side Story in the West End, which is like Broadway in New York. And for me, that was a dream come true to hear that music 8 shows a week. And that was one of my first jobs, to be in the West End. It's
Mhm.
like you graduate, and if you're interested in theater, and then you get to play Broadway, you sit there kind of going, pinch me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so, so for that, it was, and then I get paid. It was a dream come true.
Yeah.
Uh, this on one of my favorite musicals, so it was a win-win.
That's
So,
awesome.
so I think it depends on each project.
Depends on each project. Now, in today's, if you were giving advice to younger people, because now anyone can film anything with their phone, right?
Yeah,
Do you think, if you were giving advice to a younger person, do you think that the on stage and the musicals that is hugely benefiting your acting in film? Or you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I
Now
know, I do.
it's when we were growing up in our age, you didn't really have a choice, right? There was no stuff to shoot. So like
They
if
didn't
you were
exist.
gonna act, you were gonna
Yeah,
act live, right?
yeah.
Now, anyone can be a YouTube star. So what would your advice be? Is there something about that live performance that is going to, help in their skill set to become a film actor?
I think so. And you can often tell on a set. who's done a lot of theatre, because when you're used to doing theatre, it's live and you have one go. You can't mess your lines up. You can't forget your words. You can't shout, cut, can we go again? Because the audience is right there. You can feel them. Basically, when you're acting on stage, it's a conversation between the actors on stage and the audience, and they will respond. And if you're doing a comedy, it's an immediate reaction. You can hear them laugh.
Right. Yeah.
If it's tension, at various points in the Kite Runner, you could hear the audience cry. You could hear them laugh because there's jokes happening. So that discipline can help translate into working on a set. So if someone's thinking about they want to be an actor, now with the advent of phones or YouTubing and vlogging and stuff like that, start that, get into that. You could either write sketches or even do stuff that's already been on the TV and mimic that. And that way you'll also get an idea of how to react on camera, because acting for stage is very different to acting for camera.
Right.
If you're acting for camera, this is the size of your screen. Yeah. So you have to fill it. If you're acting on stage and you're in a 2,000-seater auditorium, you have to fill that space. Right. So you have to learn and know your craft. Yeah. And one thing I will say is that, I say this as an actor, it is a profession. Know your craft. Learn your craft. Yeah. There is skill in knowing what to do and how to behave. You know, in the immediacy of reality TV and stuff like that, that's fine if you want to do that. It's not my bag. But just know your stuff, learn it.
Yeah. And that was going to be my fifth, and maybe elaborate a little bit on this, my fifth and final question for you, Raj. If you were looking back at yourself 20 years ago, or if you're, in talking to a high school or college kid or someone who's got that, bursting passion for acting, but maybe not know how to navigate the waters, what's your advice to them?
I would say now there are so many mediums for television content, Netflix, Amazon, all of those things. There are so many different styles of acting and programs that you can actually start to educate yourself just by watching certain programs. Now with the whole box set thing, it might just be watch one episode of something, because we all now have lists of programs that we're supposed to have watched, or, oh, you have to watch this. Did you hear about so-and-so? So that will help with your screen. Now, also, if you have access to a mobile phone, you could actually film yourself. You could read something from a book. You don't have to go out. If money is an issue, you don't have to buy something. You can be creative with it. In terms of theatre, if you're interested in theatre, if you're able to, go to the theatre. Go and see shows. It will inform and educate your acting style. You will also see who does what and how they do it. Be a sponge, learn from that. And also, if there are access to local theatre groups, theatre clubs, you can look online to see locally what's available to you. It's such an exciting place to be, because the industry is changing on a daily basis. Yeah. Nothing is the same. And so if you're young, you can also be a game changer. You can be part of that. And that's up to you how to play it, I think.
That's awesome. 5 questions with Raj. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to do this. Really appreciate it, my friend.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.